All right, let's stretch. Let's go ahead and come down onto your mat. So we're gonna come down onto your stomach. Sphinx pose here. So the elbows are on the floor. We're pushing those shoulder blades back and down and looking up, getting some extension into your back. Breathe through that stretch. As we're breathing, thinking about that fire inside of you that we're igniting right in your tummy. When you breathe, you send that breath right into your stomach. We don't want your chest to move as we're breathing. We're creating that intra-abdominal pressure. Go ahead and come down. We're gonna put those hands right by the bottom of your rib cage and push all the way up. Look up, we're gonna do this 10 times and come back down. And come up and back down. We live our lives in flexion. When we're sitting in the car, when we're sitting at the office, sitting at your kid's baseball game, that back lives in flexion. It's good. A lot of us even sleep in flexion on our sides with our knees curled up. It's good to get that back in extension every day. Intentionally squeeze your butt. Maybe the first couple reps don't feel so good. But as we get further along into this, it probably starts to feel better. A few more. We have one more by my count. Good. We're gonna push onto those knees so we're on all fours. We're gonna keep with that same idea in a cat-cow. This is so good for your back. We're gonna round the back and then arch, look up. Round, contract those abs. Arch and look up. I love to do these slow stretch routines after a high intensity workout, just to reset my mind, reset my body. As we come into that rounded position, even think about your shoulder blades pulling apart as you push into the floor. Let's do 2 more. And last one. Good, neutral spine. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that left foot or right foot, whichever one, the foot closest to me, we're gonna bring it straight out to the side and then sit your butt back into your heels. We're stretching the inner thigh here. So we're sitting that butt back. Find the spot that feels good for you. Maybe if you're less flexible, you're not on your elbows, maybe you're on your hands. That's fine. Find that spot that feels good. You feel like you're getting that stretch. You feel the muscle lengthening. You're still breathing into your tummy. Let's do 2 more deep breaths into your tummy. Good, and 1 more. Don't rush those deep breaths. All right, good, we're gonna push up onto our hands. That foot that's in front is gonna come out in front of you, toe up to the ceiling, and we're gonna stretch out your hamstrings. So keep your back nice and tall. We don't want to round it back here. It doesn't matter if you can bring your head all the way to your knee if your back is rounded. You want that back nice and tall. So maybe you're even up tall like this, hands on the hips. That's okay. You're slowly getting a little bit deeper into that stretch. Maybe you're on your fingertips. Maybe you're on your hands. Maybe you can come all the way down. Just trying to feel that stretch in the back of the leg, all the way behind the knee, all the way up into your glutes. Let's do a few more deep breaths. Fill that belly full of air and exhale. Let's do one more. Good, and we're gonna take a big step forward so that we're in a hip flexor stretch here. We're gonna reach your opposite arm. For me, it's my right arm because my left leg is forward. I'm gonna reach up and back and then over towards you. All right, pushing my hips forward, stretching out that hip flexor. I'm gonna take that hand that's up top, put it against my knee. My other hand is gonna go on my hip and push. Both hands are pushing. And I'm twisting and looking behind me. Still trying to get those hips forward, sinking deeper into that stretch. Looking over my shoulder, getting some rotation through my vertebrae. And breathing those deep, cleansing breaths. Good. We can either go back, both hands up, or if you want a little bit more of a challenge, lift that back leg up and lean forward to really stretch your quad. Coming forward, a little bit of a balance work here too. Deep breaths. Good, release. Come into pigeon on that side. So it's still your front leg is the one that's bending. My heel is right by my hip on the other side. I like to rock through pigeon. It's easy. I think most people want to open their hips up to the wall, but you're still getting a stretch with that. But it's more challenging if your hips are squared up to the floor. So I gently, controlled, rock through that movement until that squared off feeling feels natural and good to me. Let's do a few more. And then if you want a little bit more, go ahead, walk those hands out. Lay your heart down over that leg. Deep breaths here. I love when I'm taking these deep breaths and I can feel that hip just unlock. All the tension melts away. Good, bring those hands back, push up position. We're gonna push back up in so that we're on all fours. Everything we did on that leg, we're gonna do on the other leg. Move my mat away from the wall just a little bit. So we're gonna take your leg that is away from me, take it out to the side and sit those hips back. We're stretching the adductors here, the inner part of the thigh. Sit those hips back. Don't forget those deep breaths, sitting that butt back, trying to push your hips down into the floor. That's where that stretch comes in. All right, good. Go ahead and push up. We're gonna take that back leg in front, toe up, and then lean forward, stretching out those hamstrings. Keep that back nice and tall. Sometimes it's good to have a mirror close by, because sometimes for me, I think my back is tall. I feel like it is. And then I see myself in the mirror and it's definitely not. So we want to make sure that back is tall. If we can keep a tall back while we're stretching, we're more likely to keep that tall back when we are squatting and jumping and lunging. And those are the movements that are going to protect your back in the long run if you can have good form in those movements. All right, let's go ahead and come into that hip flexor stretch. Your arm that's closer to me is going to reach up, back, and then away as we push those hips forward. The most common thing that people do that throw their backs out is picking up the paper in the morning. And it's just that repetitive rounding of the back every single day. And one day it's just the straw that breaks the camel's back, literally. That hand up top, you're gonna take it to your knee, push against that knee, other hand on the hip. If we stretch with good form, if we practice exercising with good form, you're so much less likely to live your life in poor form and get those injuries like from picking up your newspaper in the morning. Push those hips forward, sink down into it, get some rotation between those vertebrae. Deep breaths. Good, come back to forward. We're coming back into that hip flexor stretch. You can either bring both of those arms up, or if you want a little bit more in the quad, you can kick that back leg up. Grab that back leg, push those hips forward, really feeling that quad stretch now. When we're stretching our quads, we don't want to make sure that we're not bringing our hips back like this. This doesn't really stretch anything. You want those hips to be forward. So pushing those hips forward. Lost my balance, I'm sorry. So you want to push those hips forward. That's where you're going to get that stretch. And then if you want to get deeper in that stretch, but you're not quite there where you can hold it statically, go ahead and rock through that stretch too. Perfectly fine. Slow and controlled when we're moving through those stretches. Good, release that back leg. We're gonna come into pigeon. So that heel comes right by your hip bone on that front side. You can rock through that stretch if that's what feels good to you. Don't forget about your breathing here. We hold so much tension in those hips. They're usually, in most people, pretty tight. It's good to take a minute, loosen them up. All right, and let's go ahead and walk those hands out and lay your heart out over those legs. Release that tension. Here's where you really take those deep breaths. And I can feel that tension in my hip melting away as I take those deep breaths. Good. All right, go ahead and push up. That was 15 minutes of lower body stretching. Hopefully this tension has just come off of you. You're feeling more energy when we stretch. I'm glad you stretched with us today. Like our page, subscribe to our channel, and don't miss any workouts. Thanks. We'll see ya.